Hi everyone, welcome back to JPWHU TV. My name is John, your host as always, and I hope you're doing well as I always do. This video, of course, is sponsored by the channel sponsor. Let me just bring this up again. 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of the website, where you can purchase retro kits from the 60s all the way through to the early 2000s, as you can see from up here. There even. And of course, there's also Admiral and Umbro West Ham colour inspired track jackets, polo shirts, sweatshirts, and t-shirts. So go check those out. And of course, guys, let's not forget you got the Boys of '86 gear in there, as you can see there. The Paolo Di Canio is just coming up on the screen now. Both home and away kits for both era players, and of course, guys, there's the Trevor Brooking 1980 FA Cup final. So let's just jump into if anybody's in the chat yet. Let's have a look. Can we see? No, nobody's in the chat yet. So going to make it a little bit difficult. There are 6 people watching at the moment, so by means, guys, please do announce yourselves. Because obviously this is a weekly chat with me, which is where I talk to you and you guys talk to me. We share each other's views on matters over the last 7 days. Now, when it comes to West Ham, there's not a huge amount of things to talk about, but this is a weekly chat. But likewise, and of course, the first thing at the moment is, guys, I want to know how you guys are coping with the lockdown, because we're into the the second week now. Well, almost the second week, I should say, since lockdown happened. And of course, guys, there's and I want to know how you're feeling. I know a lot of people are being stressed out there. There's some pubs, of course. The pubs are closed, the restaurants are closed, the barbers are closed. I mean, obviously takeaways are still available, but I want to know how you guys are getting on. I really, really want to know how you guys are getting on. So please talk to me. I want to hear from from everybody. Let's have a look to see. So Kent, hello mate. I'm keeping very well, mate. Hope you're keeping all right. Gary, Irving JP. And Andy, welcome, mate. James Gooding, welcome back again. Yep. So, guys, let me know how you're coping with the lockdown. Now, I know it's not going to have as much of an impact for a lot of us as the first one did. But we are still within a lockdown. We're still behind things, and as you can see, guys, the new logo has been updated now. There's no longer the badge, the old school badge. And of course, the relatively new layout. I did have a plan to use my camera again, but unfortunately I didn't get the right connection. So now I'm using the webcam again until that new lead comes on Friday. But guys, I hope you're keeping all right. Gary says he's still working. It's far too busy in there. And they're not like the first lockdown. Agreed. It's not like the first lockdown, because everyone's used to it now. Eden, good evening, mate. James says living on his own has been extremely boring. Glad he's got a dog a few weeks ago to keep you company. Bless you. I know what you mean. It's a good thing that I'm living in a house share. To be honest with you, I'm very, very happy that I'm living in a house share. It's made things a lot easier than normal. And of course, keep talking to my girlfriend every day while she's in Belarus is been very nice as well. It's keeping me sane. Andy says he said knee surgery on Monday afternoon, so not up to much, just watching YouTube, Netflix, and Amazon Prime. All right, guys, so this comes into the next question I would normally ask you. Andy and everybody else, let me know what you've been watching to keep yourself sane, shall we say. I've been using BritBox a lot. I've been watching classic episodes of Only Fools and Horses, Porridge, Yes Minister, and of course keeping up to date with everything that's going on in the world as well. And Kent says keeping okay, not really been out since March, so no difference for him really. Yep, totally agree with you there, Kent. Right, so of course, for those that would have seen it on Monday night, Boris Johnson came out to say that there's a vaccine in progress, which is as it stands at the moment 90%, well, over, it says more than 90%, so maybe 91 92% accurate with everything. So I'm very, very happy with that. It's a long way off, of course. Now, if this is greenlit, once all the trials have been completed, and also it's been into mass production, if it is greenlit, by the end of the year, they are saying that they're going to have 40 million doses of it already have already been ordered, and an extra 10 to 50 million doses will be available by the end of the year. And if it works, and as I say, if it does work and we all start getting vaccinated, they estimate that there's going to be 1.3 billion doses available by the end of next year. So it looks like at the very least we're going in for at least another 12 months. But maybe not necessarily of maybe not necessarily of lockdown itself, but we are still going to have to live with these conditions for at least another 12 months. It's looking like, unfortunately, which of course everybody was saying in March, April time about the vaccine, because it take, and I said it as well when we started doing the daily live chats. You know, when we had everything going on, I said, you know, it's going to be at least a couple of years maybe to get everything into mass production. It could still be that way. It might not be at the moment because Pfizer look like they've got a very good thing going on there. But yeah, so let's have a look. Luke from the Three Hammers, by the looks of it, welcome, mate. Started watching Sopranos, never seen it. It's fucking amazing. It's a brilliant show. I started watching it before you, mate. I'm usually last to the party when it comes to Sopranos and all that sort of thing. But really good. I love the bits with the counselor. It's hysterical. I haven't watched it for a while, so I might actually take you up on that. Actually, Luke, might start watching that again. James has said he's been watching The Boys on Amazon and watching the absolute shit show that was the US election. Well, that was the funny thing about that, mate. I mean, just going off, I mean, not really have much of a script, but that was the funny thing. You know, it was entertaining to see how Trump's reacting to it and the numbers that were coming in. Yes, all right, there was a lot of coverage on it, bit more than it should have been, to be honest with you, from one point of view on the BBC and Sky Sports, Sky News and everything else. But at the same time, guys, that's exactly what we needed. A nice little deflection, shall we say, on everything. But yeah, you know, it's nice to have some form of little what's the word? I can't say guilty pleasure is not the right word of saying it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. James says, but remember, it's 2 doses to be effective. Agreed. Yep. But still, it's a start. Andy says, watching Still Game, a comedy show about 2 Scottish pensioners. I think I'll have to check up on that, actually, mate. I'll have a look at that. Kent says he will be first in the queue as soon as I'm called. I want to get back to normality as ASAP. I will have vaccine. Yep. Eden says the football on YouTube do a lot. Tifo football on YouTube do a lot of good videos. Yes, they do, Eden. 100%. They got some very good stuff on there. Especially some of the things they've done about West Ham, about Pellegrini, about Moyes, about the history of the club, about how the 2 Davids came into football and how they took over in their original plans and stuff. Very, very good content. Go check those out, guys. Ken says Luke says the fact the counsellor is Karen Hill from Goodfellas is genius. Yeah, do you know what, mate? Yes. It's been a long time since I've seen Goodfellas. Cracking film. But yeah, never put the 2 together. But thanks for that. Cheers, genuinely. Watching all YouTube channels West Ham related keeps Kent busy. Lee says, and him as well. So hello, Kent. Hello, Lee. Even good to see you. Now, of course, the more important thing of today is Remembrance Day. Now, obviously, there was the remembrance ceremony, such as it was on Sunday. You know, because it was heartbreaking to watch the amount of people that weren't there in comparison to normal. The amount of people that weren't able to put their wreaths down because they're in the high risk category of ages and you know, and everything else on top of it. But today is a very, very solemn day for me and for a lot of people that have had family die in the army, not just in the First and Second World Wars, but every single engagement that's happened since. You know, both Iraq wars, Northern Ireland skirmishes. You know, and in even, you know, and also most recently everything with the Taliban and everything else, you know. So this is why it's a very, very emotional day for me, which is why the poppy's been on the channel symbol, and I'll be wearing this for until the end of November as always. But guys, as I said, you know, from a personal level, my auntie's husband was killed in the Northern Ireland skirmish while what's his name? John Major was in charge of the country, and we even got a family shout out back. It was like 97, I think it was 96, 97, something like that. And you know, it was hard. It was hard for that. But yeah, it's a very important day for me, and I hope you guys did the minute silence at 11 o'clock. I genuinely do, because let's not forget everybody that went in the 2 world wars and every other skirmish that's happened before or since is ensured that we've got the freedom that we do. So don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. Now Luke is saying, would you consider a roulette wheel? No, it was great fun when we did that, mate. Don't get me wrong. Cheers, guys, by the way. But yeah, it was. But yeah, no, I wouldn't do that again. So James said, well, I would do it again, but obviously try and do it a bit more specific and maybe try and get some West Ham colours stick in that. James says the Sunday public service nearly didn't take place, but a few people pushing it. It was more than a few, mate. It was a few thousand, because it's a way of honouring the dead that died to keep us in keep us in freedom. We should take a minute to thank those people who got it through. 100% completely. I mean, if it hadn't happened, all hell would have broken loose. Absolutely all hell would have broken loose. And Kent says he did, and he did today and on Sunday. Good lad. Andy says, well said about Remembrance Day. Thank you very much. I'm sure you're talking about James as well. But let's not forget that there are a lot of people that are ignorant in the world that don't understand what it means, because it doesn't affect them. Well, it affects everybody every single day. It really genuinely does. Okay, so let's talk about Liverpool. What am I talking about? Honestly, let's talk about Fulham, I should say, because we talked about Liverpool. Let's talk about the Fulham game. Try and keep it a little bit of West Ham content, because there's not much to talk about, guys. So by all means, pick your topics as always. Luke, I'm sure you'd be buzzing to do this. See, Luke, you can make your own little roulette wheel, fella. I'll give you. You bring up eight selections, and I'll choose the numbers at random, and then you can put up the questions, mate. How about that? How's that suit for you? James Gooding says the money raised for the poppy pill goes a long way for ex-servicemen. It does completely. There was a lot of worry about the income that people they were able to get from it, because this is the thing. We don't know. They did say that they were struggling. The British Legion, who run the poppy appeal, were worried about the amount of money that they weren't getting because of the pandemic over the last 3 to 4 months. But they always do a push about July, August time, and then obviously they can't have people out on the streets as well, for that matter, selling poppies as they were this time last year and for almost 100 years since. Prior, I should say. So it's just. It's hard. It's a difficult thing. Ken says, my dad lost a very good pal of his in the Falklands, so always been brought up to respect the remembrance. And I'm sorry to hear that, Ken. And again, yeah, very important engagement. Not so much at the time. More to do with power, and some may argue an unwanted island. Some people refer to it as a battle for penguins, or was it sheep or something, whatever they were calling it at the time. But again, yeah, something that we have to bear in mind completely. Luke says Joe Gomez injured, Spuds to win the title. Not necessarily, because we don't actually know how long he's been out for. I haven't seen what he's been injured with. So by means, guys, let us know what he has been injured with. To be honest, I don't really care about Liverpool. All I care about is West Ham, and obviously you care about the opposition coming up and everything, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Kent says poppy income down by 40%. He's sure he's read. Yep, that sounds about right, mate. It was massive cut. Also down to the fact that this year's one of these sold out. I ordered mine very early. Never got mine, so I went to order it again, and they've all sold out, unfortunately, which is a real shame. It's just the mental post office, unfortunately. There's a lot of work going on up there, from what I understand. James says, on the topic of Fulham and the absolute shocker of a penalty taken, what's the worst penalty you've ever seen? That, mate. That simple as. If you were in the chat, you would have heard when we were watching that game, you would have seen me shout that was the worst penalty I've ever taken. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. I feel sorry for the kid, because apparently I think Luke covered it on I know he wouldn't have done yet. No, I think it was Ryan that mentioned it. That said apparently he did it at the under-21s levels, and did it very successfully. So yeah, that's maybe that's it. Maybe that's why he did it, because he was confident and just absolutely fudged it at the same time. Big game, big moment. Maybe the excuse me. Maybe the time of it got to him. Andy says, yep, absolutely shocking. Gary says, there are a few games this season that we would have lost in past seasons. What do you think that the difference is this season? Is it the lack of us? It could be. Yep, Gary, it definitely could be the lack of supporters at the football grounds. I don't discount that at all. I know a lot of people were saying that it's not going to make a difference. I've maintained for a while that it has, because we're not there to give them grief. We're not there to shout at them. They're able to hear the instructions of the managers recently. Antonio said it in the Super Six podcast a couple of weeks ago. Very, very interesting. Yeah, it's yeah, it could well be. It could absolutely well be. And also down the fact, also one of the reasons why we would have lost that game last season is because we don't seem to have this coherency between all the players as well. For that matter, these guys every bouncing around trying to do things, trying ideas, new things coming in. I mean, guys, give me your thoughts on Fulham in general, because I mean, Luke doesn't have to, because it'll be interesting to see what he says about the podcast. If he has already done it, I haven't seen, but Eden says Lookman was looking a decent player for Fulham until then. Agreed, he was. He had an absolute cracker. Everybody in Fulham played well. They really did. I say we really did. We really did as well. At least the first 5-10 minutes of it. But yeah, Luke says Simone Zaza's penalty. Wouldn't say that was worse than Lookman's, mate, if I'm honest. And he says he got 2 poppies online for him and his dad. Him and his lad, even good. The money's the more important thing than the poppy. Kent says Di Canio did it twice, that type of pen, and scored twice. Agreed. And he says, Gary, I think the negativity towards the board and sometimes the players is a weight off their shoulders completely. Andy Miles, welcome back, mate. Hope you're all right. Good to see you guys. Good to see everyone's behaving in the chat, unlike last time. Well, I'll say everyone. There was only one person that was misbehaving on Monday night, but I've talked to him about it. But Andy Miles, I hope you're keeping all right, mate. Now, of course, Jack Wilshere seems to be levelling on about West Ham quite frequently over the last few weeks. But it did make me laugh to say that he'd never play for Tottenham because of his links to the Gunners. Fair enough. But don't say anything about your former club. Don't be a little twonk. Absolutely little twonk. He really has been. I hate to see former players saying that. It's just he's bitter, he's twisted, he's upset. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that, but do it with a little bit more decorum and a bit more respect for the club that was paying you a lot of money for, let's face it, just for training at best. Show a bit of decorum. And I love the fact that Dave Walker tweeted Wilshere directly saying, if you've got the bollocks, come and talk to us on the podcast. We'll hear why you're saying what you're saying. So that'd be very, very interesting if the West Ham way get him on there. I don't think it'll ever happen because he's a mouthy little git, and I don't think Wilshere is going to. I genuinely think that Wilshere's going to bottle it as a result of it, but you never know. So let me know your thoughts on those guys. About Wilshere's comments, because it's outrageous. It's outrageous. There's no other way of saying it. It is outrageous. There's just absolutely no excuse for that, for him to say that what he's been saying in any shape or form. See what you guys are saying at the moment. Kent says the best result of the season on Saturday. We would have lost it last season. Agreed. Fulham very good in possession, better than us. Just short of cutting edge though. Yep. Our midfield was disappeared, mate. Absolutely disappeared. Andy, what you missed? You've missed us talking about what TV shows we're watching during lockdown. You've missed us talking about Remembrance Day. You've missed us talking about the COVID vaccine that was announced on Monday evening, and a few other little bits and pieces. Eden says, good to see Ogbonna showing some fight against Mitrovic. Yes. Now, I know a lot of people were angry, including Ogbonna himself, when he was substituted because of coming off due to an injury. But it's not an injury itself. It is a precaution, from what I understand, just to make sure. I mean, he's angry because he was in line to play for Italy in this week's pending friendlies and internationals and whatnot. But so he's angry for that. But at the same point, I think it's a good idea that he's rested. If he's still in the Italy squad, fair play to him. If he goes out and plays, then there's nothing wrong with it. But at the same point, if he goes out and plays and gets injured, it's not good. It's not good. So, guys, if the worst happened, who would you put in the centre back position? Would you drop Balbuena, or would you keep both of them with the back three? Would you go for a back four for the Sheffield United game? Be interesting to hear what you think on that. Gary asks, what do you think of the board taking out a bank loan based on next year's money? They do it every season, mate. They do it every single season. We're skint. Let's not beat around the bush. We're skint. We have been for a good few years. And, you know, it's just absolutely piss poor. It really is absolutely piss poor. Where's the chat gone? I can see it on the screen, but I can't actually see it on the thing. It's weird. So So yeah, sorry, apologies, guys. Some of your comments have gone through. I can't see who just said it, but someone said that Jack Wilshere's gobbing off because like an ex-girlfriend because she's bitter. Yeah, agreed, 100%. Gary says I wouldn't give any airtime to Wilshere. It's Wilshere, not Wiltshire. Luke's asked Creswell England chances. Got a chance. I don't think he should play, but he's got a chance. He's got a chance. It'd be nice to see him in the lineup again. His games, Luke, against England haven't been all that brilliant, but at the same point, you know, it'd be nice to see him. It's always nice to see a West Ham player in an England squad. Always. James has put a long comment in here, so that's probably so. What should he have done? Come out, say the move didn't work, but he's determined to kick on. Look at Reed. Look what Reed doing the MLS. Jack should have done the same. Maybe got a decent move after. Yeah, exactly right. Just shut up. Put your do your Danny Drinkwater, because apparently he's putting a highlight reel together because he wants to move. Would you guys take Danny Drinkwater from Chelsea? Would you take him? Gary says replace Ogbonna with Diop. Yep. And he says Jack Wilshere's desperate to find another club, another paycheck. MLS at best. Now let him go to LA and live the pop star, and maybe bigger washing machine out there too. There too, prick. Where are we? Kent Sam says it's a shame Wilshere didn't work out. A fit Wilshere would have been class for us, agreed, but he's paid off reportedly a lot of dough. I hoped he'd take his money and move on gracefully, but not the case. Such a shame. Yep, 100%, mate. Completely. James says 8 million for or less for he'd take for Drinkwater. I don't think he's too bad a player, if I'm honest. I actually quite like the kid. We were linked with him a couple of years ago, and I thought he was good then. I thought it was a good idea for that side of things. Steve, evening. He says, I think we have to stick to the system we are playing at present. How whoever we are playing seems to be working. Steve, I know what you mean, fella, but I've got to disagree with it at the same point, because you have to adjust your formation. Stick with the players, 100%, but you have to adjust your formation and your tactics to exploit the weaknesses of the opposition. That's how you win football games. That is completely how you win football games. You have to. But I know what you mean, Steve. Yeah, because it's the catch-22 of it. Because we're always saying, you know, don't change a winning team. The teams that have been winning games haven't been the teams that have been starting. That's why we need to be that proactive. Luke says not Drinkwater, but we should have been all over Barkley showing his quality of it. Agreed, mate, 100%. I still maintain we could have got a better option than Barkley. I like him, but he's proved me wrong, and I'm happy to say that. Gooding says, what about Kenny from Fulham? I've always rated him, and Moyes did at one point. Yeah, he still does. Still does, because he was Everton junior or something. I know he's got had him under his books beforehand. But yeah, I thought he had I say I'd take any of those players. I'd take their right back, Aina, or however you say it. Of course, it'd be nice to have Mitrovic, but alongside Allaire, it wouldn't work. I like a lot of those players. They're good. As I said many times, Fulham have always had a bit of a soft spot in my heart. They've always had some very, very good players. So it would have been quite cool to take some of their players if we had the chance. For example, actually I'll come to it in a minute. Just want to read the chat out before it keeps going up. Gary says, I want to see more of. I want to see more of Ben Rama, but don't drop Fornals. This is the hard thing. Kent says, Drinkwater wouldn't touch him. Not played in 3 years. Fair point. Kent says, Kante carried Drinkwater at Foxes. Yes, he did. I'll agree with that. Which is why he's falling out of favour at Chelsea. James says, has Sheffield doing poorly and Villa doing well shown how desperately we need to be looking at a keeper for next year? Yep, agreed. And James, that comes very, very nicely on to a subject that I want to talk about. So let's rock on to that now. Would you guys, hypothetical, right? If Fulham get relegated this season, would you go for Areola, their goalkeeper? He has been superb. He had a fantastic performance against us on Saturday. If he hadn't have played the way that he had, and hadn't been absolutely spot on with the first opening 5 or 10 minutes, we were 3 or 4-0 up. So would you guys take Areola? For me, could he be a long-term successor to Fabianski? Possibly. I wouldn't say no. I really wouldn't say no to bringing him in whatsoever. But yes, we need to identify a decent keeper and somebody for next season, James, rather than next year, because that's an American sports term. Next season rather than next year. All right, technically yes, he's yes he is. Yes, I know it is next year, but at the same point, you have to take it as a season itself, rather than a year itself. But yeah, Kent says he's only on loan at Fulham. Good. Perfect. Wonderful. You know more about teams than I do, mate. I'm very happy with that. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I would take him. Andy says, yeah, it would cost a lot of money as he is a PSG man. But you see, this is the thing. A lot of teams are going to be selling players a lot in January and a lot in the summer transfer window as well next year. We've heard a lot about Barcelona rumours coming out that say that they're going to be selling a lot of players on the cheap to try and sort out their wage bill. Maybe PSG might do the same. I would take him. I really genuinely would. James says, if he's consistent, only seen him against us. Yeah. Kent says he likes Raya from Brentford. Or Raya from Brentford. James said, agree, I should say season. Yeah, as should Luke, as should Paul, as should everybody else in the world. I'm the only one that says season, and nobody else really seems to say year. Roland and Tony, good morning, guys. Hope you're all right. If Suchek and Rice play 2 full international games each, we will have to do some player rotation, help player burnout. Very good point. There's a very, very good chance that Rice will play one of the two, maybe not, because I'm sure they're both 2 fixtures for the internationals. But yeah, it's the UEFA the UEFA friendlies is what I like to call them, because they're not really qualifying rounds, guys. I mean, they help out teams getting into the Euros, but that's the other question I want to ask you guys. Are we going to be actually seeing the Euros next year? That's the question. That is a big question that's on the sports table at the moment. Really, really is. James says, look how much Barca and Madrid are struggling money-wise. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. PSG could be in exactly the same position. I know they're in different leagues and whatnot, but still, different countries, so different finance problems. But at the same point, COVID has hit the world hard. Yet there's still football been going on, because completing the fixtures is more important to people than actually people's health. That's the real sad thing about it. Now, of course, guys, I don't know if you saw this. Hang on, and it says Jack Butland was the bargain at only $500,000, but I'd also take Nick Pope if Burnley get relegated. Yep, Nick Pope, I absolutely love. He's in my fantasy league team. Yeah, I really got some good points on him. Who would have thought we got up 15 points off of Fabianski on Saturday? Nobody would have seen that coming. For those that do fantasy football, but yeah, totally, man, completely. Jack Butland, I'll take both if we could. Really, really could take both, and you know, because I think Fabianski's deal's up next season. I think is it the end of next season or the beginning of the end of this season? It's one of the. I think it's the end of next season. So that would be very good if we can get both of those guys in and have Fabianski as a bit player. Ronan says that Tony said they should play the Euros in Australia. Well, the England games apparently are because of the teams we're playing. Apparently they're going to be played in different countries because of the lockdown restrictions and everything. So that's it. James says the rumor is the Euros are on, but will be moved down to one to 4 host nations as opposed to how many it is at the moment. Yep, very likely, very very likely. It's a good shout, that mate. Ken says, are we definitely playing 2 international games because Corona thought one was in doubt? It was in doubt. Even with your very strange spelling there, mate. But let's have a look at the fixtures. So, where are we? All teams, England. Right, Gomez is going to have a scan on his knee to find out the extent of his injury, so that doesn't sound good. So the international friendly tomorrow, which is England, New Zealand, that's been cancelled. There's an England Republic of Ireland game going on, and then there's the UEFA Nations League. Looks like England Republic of Ireland instead as a result of it. And then there's the Belgium England game and the England Iceland. Now apparently it's looking like the Belgium England game is going to be played at a completely different venue. So that could be things that could be very very interesting. It could be very interesting to see if all those 3 are going to go ahead and Andy just back me up. England have 3 games. Yeah. But yeah, because it's the Belgium. It was the Belgium game that was in doubt that they've been talking about over the last couple of days. Relocating it somewhere else because of and also with Iceland because of the restrictions going through and everything. So just don't bother. Really don't bother. But you know what's going to happen? It's, as I said earlier, it's the fixtures over the health of the people. That's half the problem. We've done that. Now, guys, this is the thing. I don't know if you saw the other day, but it looks like pay-per-view is going to be scrapped for the short term because the Premier League, the Premier League announcement wasn't brilliant, but they said they're looking to do it into another direction, which really, really irritates the hell out of me, because it just gives them breathing space to try and figure out how they're going to do something else. And let's not forget, the Premier League isn't this big conglomerate of faceless people. It's the stakeholders and the chair people of every single Premier League club. So they're all in it together, and which is why it's irritating me about Klopp and Baphead at Man City saying that they want the fixtures looked at. It happens every single season. Every single season that the so-called top 6 teams complain about fixture congestion, blah blah blah. You're supposed to have a squad that is able to rotate sufficiently and if you don't want to be in Europe, don't compete for it. Simple as that. Simple as that. And Andy Miles says, I would like to see Rice just play against Belgium. Give him a week. Give him a week for the Carlos Tevez derby. Not a bad shout there, mate, if I'm honest. To be honest with you, not a bad shout. See what is that? But yes, that level's a little bit better. Right, okay. So James says, let's hope that nobody is overly aggressive towards Rice and Grealish. Don't want to need this injuries for a friendly. Yeah. As I say, we've got the UEFA Nations friendlies as well after that. Republic of Ireland game. So, yeah, that'd be interesting. James said, didn't someone get sacked from the FA this week for racism or something as well? James, I didn't really want to talk about this, but comments by the players have forced my hand on this because I get accused of being racist when I actually say fact rather than opinion when it comes to this thing. But yes, Greg Clark resigned as an FA chairman because of his comments that he said about players while he was talking to members of parliament about a few things. I can't remember what the whole conversation was about, but basically he referred to coloured players. Now, I'm not saying he was right to say this. I'm not saying he was wrong to say this. What I am saying is for his generation, it's disrespectful to call people black. And the reason being, because for his generation, referring to somebody as black means that they're illegal. Like the black market, black trade, black what's the word? Black labour, illegal. You know, it was for illegal workers. That's why he referred to them as coloured. Now, I had a conversation with my ex's dad about this a few years ago because he got into a bit of grief where he was working because he referred to somebody as a coloured gentleman rather than a black man, right? And they say because coloured is offensive to people. We get that, 100%. Not saying it isn't. But for people that are in their 60s and 70s, referring to somebody as coloured was a more PC way of referring to somebody as black. Because in those days you couldn't call somebody black, whereas now as you can. It was a slip of the tongue from him, and players is now speaking out saying it'd be nice to it'd be good to see if there was a black person in charge of the FA. I hate this. I genuinely hate this. Colour should have nothing to do with the fact if you have the mentality to do the job in the first place. Don't try and fill a quota. I understand the reasons why the players are saying it. 100%. I don't agree with it. But that's the thing. James said, was that it? Or my family who's older used the term coloured, especially my Aussie family. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's that generation of people. It was more acceptable in that generation to call them coloured than it was black. But because black is now the accepted term, but football doesn't, in the men and women's game, they're not all black. They're not all black. We have Asian players in there. We have Indian players in there. You know, we've got. They're not all black. It's just stupid. It's the other end of the scale when I was saying about political correctness going crazy. Whatever you say, you're going to offend somebody nowadays. That's the way it is. It's the way it always has been. And that's just stupid. And to say that the person in charge of the FA should be black it's pandering to the populace, quite frankly. If somebody is a black person, fine. They've got to be able to do the job. Colour's got nothing to do with it. Colour has got nothing to do with it. It being Indian, Pakistan, Scottish, Welsh, a black Scotsman, Welsh Scotsman, Welsh Scotsman, Welsh, an Indian Welshman. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as they do the job properly. That's all you should be caring about. Not saying he's not black, therefore he's not a good appointment. Loads of companies are trying to hit this quota of having X amount of women on their board and X amount of colours, non-white people, shall we say. It's not the way to do things. You have to bring in the people that are capable of doing the job. It's as simple as that. Right, so James says, without speaking out, colour, gender, religion, or sexuality should not affect people getting the job. That's what I'm saying. If you're the best for the role, you're the best. Agreed. Your grammar's terrible there, mate, but yeah, because it's you are, not your. But yeah, and it says, do you think the bottom three will get relegated? Bottom three, I don't know, mate. It's way too early for that. It's absolutely way too early for that. We'll talk about that in February time, man. If the league's still being played, January, February time is round about the time you can actually say it's not looking good for the bottom four or five teams. It's not looking good for them at all. But we're not even into double digits yet. We're not even to double digits when it comes to the league. So it's not the right time to have that question. I know why you're asking it, Andy. Yeah, because I know a lot of people are talking about it at the minute, and quite rightly so. But you can't. It's like this is what I hate about watching Match of the Day and all this sort of stuff, right? It's because these guys they'll be literally 25 minutes into the first game of the season, first week of the season, and they'll be blam. They'll be literally be saying, right, who do you think's going to win the league? You can't base it off one bloody game, and you can't base it off you can't base it off 7 games either. What 8 games now? I think we're at, where are we? 8 games, 8 or 9. Where are we? 8 games, 8 games. Yeah, because I should know because I did the bloody Goal Week 8 broadcast on Monday night. So, but yeah, it's not looking good for a mate at all. It's not looking good. It really, really isn't. I know people saying second season syndrome for Sheffield United, but people said that about Wolves last season, and look what happened. So, yeah, it's just you can't tell. I think Burnley will be okay. I don't think there'll be relegation fodder unless anything stupid happens, like they get like 20 injuries or something stupid like that, or 5 or 10 players that go out to COVID. But Sheffield United, I don't think so. Fulham, they're grafters. Sheffield United, as they are grafters as well. So you never know. James says, sorry I'm cooking as I'm watching on my phone. One hand typing errors. Yeah, all right. What else? Right. Okay, so I don't know if you guys saw it because this is a big, big talking point at the moment. Big, big talking point. Former referee chief Keith Hackett, we know that name quite frequently over the last few years, has blasted the latest interpretations of the law made by former Premier League referee David Elleroy, now technical director of IFAB. Former referees Chief Keith Hackett believes the offside and handball laws require, quote, major surgery, unquote, and slow motion VAR replay should be banned to avoid more baffling decisions. Oh, it's just popped up now. Breaking news. Hull has become England's worst coronavirus hotspot as new league table has arisen. So we'll talk about that in a minute. A string of incidents over the weekend started with Leeds striker Patrick Bamford having a goal ruled out for offside for pointing where he wanted the ball to be played, and ended with a contentious handball awards against Wolves and Liverpool. But coming on to his comments, he said, really poor for football. VAR is trying to find excuses for its use. If you hold your arm out pointing, there is a lot of arm, and the shoulder hardly becomes a scoring point unless it's facing the ball and deflects off it. Agreed, 100%. Ultimately, it's the very bad decision, however you look at it. If anyone who plays, watches, owns a club or whatever agrees the Bamford goal is the right decision, they should give up football. A Leeds fan emailed me to say, what do you think? And I emailed him back saying it's not offside, it should be a goal. When he came back later in the day and said, I switched it off and missed the Leeds goal, so I was unhappy with the decision. I was so unhappy with the decision, I should say. The offside law and handball law both require major surgery. What David Ellery, technical director of IFAB, the International Football Association Board, the body that determines the laws of the game, came up with is abject nonsense, and no one is buying it. Blah, 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 blah. So I agree 100% with what he's saying. Completely agree with what he's saying on that. There's no, if a player is pointing for the ball, right, as he says there, and as loads of people have said, you can't score a goal with your arm. Therefore, he's got no part of his body being in an offside position. The rules stated, literally, where are we? We talked about this a few weeks ago. Was it 3, maybe a month, if that? Saying that the rules were supposed to be supposed to be more flexible. So I don't know, maybe the referee didn't get that memo, was the only one in the entire bloody country that didn't know that in the land of football. But it's ridiculous, absolutely stupid. Andy Miles says Chris Wood would be a great signing. Never see him stop moving, and a handful. Fair enough. Kent Adams says 1991 FA Cup semi-final. Not really sure where you're going on with that, Kent. Not even saying that. That comment shouldn't really be there. I'm going to hide. Oh, if I could hide that, I would. It shouldn't be there at all. Look, where are we? I can now. Where are we? That's comments removed. It's not relevant. James, would you say from the shoulder is acceptable? No, I wouldn't say it's from the shoulder is acceptable, mate. Because at the end of the day, it's handball. It's still handball, right? When his arm was pointing out, you could clearly see that the offside line was there, right? Now it's not from here. It's from where the stitching is. When we talked about it towards the end of last season, when they said that they were going to be bringing in that, and I made a bit of mockery of it. What happens if his stitching's down here rather than up here, and all that sort of stuff? You know, that's where they're supposed to be taking the law from literally there, literally from the shoulder downwards is handball. It's just it does my head in. Ken says maybe Hackett should have worked out the professional foul rule in 1991 before he criticises others, but he is right to say what he says this time. Yeah, because 100% agree with you, mate. 100% agree with you. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I don't remember that far back. I really don't. I remember being in the pub watching the game. Before with a few mates, but yeah. Keith, good evening. Kent says Keith Hackett sent Tony Gale out in 1991's final wrongly discipline. Yes, he did. Yeah, and Hackett did apologise to Tony Gale. When was it? I know. We talked about it at some point as well. That it keeps says, will you watch England tomorrow if Rice don't play? I won't. I don't watch friendlies anyway, mate. I don't see the point. I don't see the point. The only time I really watch them is to see if how the new boys are getting on, but it's pointless. I don't like England friendlies. This is why I don't like the UEFA Nations League, because it's a glorified friendly league. Yes, all right, okay. You know, it does help players. It does help teams go into getting qualification into Europe and everything. But at the same time, for an England perspective, it's pointless. It's really pointless. It's feeding things to it's feeding football just for the sake of it, quite frankly. James says, no, Keith, only watch major tournaments for England. So James is of the same mind of me, which is good. You know, it's, yeah. Crazy. Now, changing the subject briefly, but still keeping it on football, if I can find it. Where are we? Actually, no, let's talk about this. Right, so it's literally come up in the last few minutes. Hull become England's worst coronavirus hotspot as new league table is released. The city recorded 1,888 new cases in just 7 days, meaning its infection rate has soared even along with other areas including Scarborough, North East Lincolnshire and Milton. So the city saw its infection rate soar from 436.5 per 100,000 to 726.8 per 100,000 in just 7 days. So it's nice to see those guys up in Hull are keeping to the lockdown rules. Yeah. Honestly, it's always the northern places. It's unbelievable. And this article's going on about the death rates, which is awful because it's now reached 50,365. Excuse me, that have died since March. It's an awful thing, but it's unbelievable that I just don't get it. I really don't understand how they can do that. I really don't get it. Kent says, should bring back home nation friendlies. They're never friendlies. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I know what you mean, fella. I know what you mean. But yeah, okay, so let's go and talk about this as well. It was quite interesting reading that Ryan Reynolds and Robert McElhenney are looking to take over Wrexham FC to keep them liquidated, basically. Sorry for not being liquidated, I should say. It's awful. I know there was an article on the BBC. Let's see if I can find that. Where is it? Yeah, Tyrone Ming says a black FA chairman would be a huge step in their fight for equality, and he's right from one point of view, but not for the reasons I gave earlier. There was Kent, you might have seen this, so try and give us a hand if I can't find it. Where it says there was a lot of football teams in that are struggling to pay their wages. Where is it? Where is it? I can't believe this disappeared. I was reading it. I know it came out yesterday. But where is it? There was literally no, I can't find it. Can't find it. But yeah, there was a news article that said there was a lot of teams in the lower leagues that are struggling to pay their wages because of COVID. So from one point of view, is as nice as it is having big celebrities try and take over a football club. At the same point, it's really good to have it's really good to have people trying to buy into them. James Gooding says, Robert McKelney, apologies if I've completed it, pronounced it wrong, I should say, is a huge sports fan, so he probably understands the team's plight completely. Rhoda and Tony says, Germany versus Czech on TV in Australia. Souček and Soufal on the Souček and Soufal on the bench. It says a lot of lower league clubs are struggling. I saw on the news. Yeah, you saw this. You would have seen the same article that I did, mate. But yeah, it's shocking. And this is, but the lower league teams clubs were too proud, shall we say, too proud to take the handout that was given to them about giving them a certain amount of money. It really is sad. It is really sad to see. From both sides of things, you can't be too proud when you've got a lot of you got a lot of things to pay for. You know, in every sense of the word. In every sense of the word. You know, I've sold my old laptop because, as you guys know, I bought a new PC, which can quite easily handle all this new stuff I've upgraded the channel for as a result. But I sold my laptop because I needed some cash. I needed some cash to pay it off. You know, as simple as that. We're all struggling in different ways, but we're all struggling. You know, mentally, physically, emotionally, personally, financially. You know, it's different. Physically, I should say. You know, it's hard for people in these times. Right, so we've got 8 minutes left, guys. So the last thing I want to do before I completely open the floor to you guys is there's an article that The Guardian put up saying that the COVID self-isolation period is expected to be cut from 2 weeks to 10 days after a row involving Professor Chris Whitty and Dominic Cummings, who had been pushing for a more drastic change. The Guardian understands the reduced quarantine time is to be made possible by increasing the use of rapid tests, for which the UK government has paid more than £500 million, despite the fact that some are not designed to test people without symptoms. That's bloody stupid then, isn't it? It comes amid growing concerns about compliance, with only 11% of people abiding fully by the current 2-week self-isolation rule. Ken, I know you have been. Andy Walsh, I know you have been. So no need to put your comments up about that. According to research by King's College London in September. Under the new proposals, people are expected to be allowed to stop self-isolating on the 10th day after coming into contact with an affected person following a negative test, in the hope that this will improve compliance. But if they test positive on that date, they will be asked to continue self-isolating for a further 8 days. The planned change is a compromise hammered out at number 10 after Whitty, England's chief medical advisor, rejected proposals instigated by Cummings, the Prime Minister's most senior aide, and a Martian on Alpha Centauri resident. If you watch Spitting Image, it's so funny watching that. Really is good. For a more dramatic cut in the quarantine period, according to a source with the knowledge of the discussions, probably Dominic Cummings. Downing Street did not deny the claims. According to the source, Whitty discovered on Tuesday last week that a press release had been drafted to use the rapid test to half self-isolation to 7 days, with the eventual goal of scrapping the self-isolation period entirely by offering tests to people as soon as they are notified of a contact with an affected person. Well, that's stupid for a start. No wonder they argued about it. Whitty is said to have been I can never pronounce this word properly. Implacably opposed on public health grounds, arguing that the incubation period for the virus was too long to allow immediate testing, and the rapid tests would fail to detect every infected person. Absolutely right. The proposal to test after 8 days with permission to leave the house on the 10th day was cooked up as a compromise to placate Cummings, the source said. Separately, experts have expressed surprise at the of the contract of blah 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 blah. It just goes on about other stuff. Yeah, so it's too long to talk about. But those are basically the quick. So guys, let me know what you think about it. Rodan Tony says, did Burnley say back in April that they will go under if crowds weren't back by September? They said they would struggle. I don't think they actually said they would actually physically go under. But that might not be the case anymore, mate, because they've been heavily linked with a £200 million takeover, which we discussed a little while ago as well. James says, James asks, do you have to pay for the test yourself, or is it NHS funded? Feels like a bit of a cash grab. I know the home tests are free, and I think they're all free, mate. If I'm honest, I know, with the exception of Superdrug, because I know they were charging. But yeah, I know they were charging. So the last thing I want to talk about quickly, Kent just summed up what I was about to say. He said, you can't compromise, it won't work. You need to get the correct results, not the quickest. Agreed. Because they're trying to get people back to work, mate. That's the whole thing, unfortunately. But yeah, and over the Christmas period, it was great to see that the government have given in and allowed to have school meals, free school meals to kids. I think that's brilliant over that period of time. It's better than nothing. I mean, it's not brilliant. There's still a long way to go with it, but it's better than nothing. It really is. I think that's everything on my checklist. So yeah, for the next couple of minutes, guys, put your comment questions down. Otherwise we will wrap it up. But guys, let me know what you've been thinking about this. About the new layout that I've done for for the channel. There's more to come as well, for that matter. As you can see, I've rebranded the badge, and I've updated the graphics for the previews as well. I spent a lot of time doing that over the last few days, updating that. And but yeah, guys, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up? Now, of course, obviously, because there's no game over the weekend, no instant game over the weekend, there's not going to be any watch-alongs. I'm not going to do one for the England games. I'm only doing the England qualifiers and the World Cups and stuff, as well, the Euros as well. So, but to say, once the Euro, if the Euros do happen, then we will do watch-alongs with those. I'll do the England previews as well, like I did for the World Cup. Just as when this channel came into the public knowledge. James Gooding says it shouldn't have taken Rashford to do that. Meals should be given for all children. Agreed. Completely agree with you, mate. And this is one of the reasons why I'm saying about not renewing my season ticket next season. Because as far as I'm concerned, the government and West Ham are exactly the same thing. All the Premier League teams are exactly the same thing. They will try to get away with whatever they can unless we kick up a fuss. I don't want to be supporting a football team like that anymore. Especially, I don't want to be giving my money to a football team like that anymore. I mean, I will always support West Ham. Throughout my entire life, as an adult, I've always supported West Ham in one way or another. I've had 11 years of being a season ticket holder, which it will be 11 years this Christmas. And so yeah, it's to say, unless an absolute miracle happens, which is I can't see coming, then I won't be a season ticket holder. But at the same point, if football does become back to normal next season, then we'll be doing exactly the same as we have been anyway, doing the home and away games, live watch streams, conversations, and it would be great to have to be able to do that. But yeah, guys, because as you guys know, the bread and butter of this channel are watch-alongs. Kent says, this with kids going hungry has been happening for decades. It's just publicised more now, which is good. Which is good. Good on Marcus Rashford and co. Yep, agreed. But yeah, as James said, it shouldn't take this much. It shouldn't take that amount of pressure from people to do it. You know, they should have looked at themselves in the mirror a long time ago and sorted it out that way. But in the meantime, guys, thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you for sticking around. Again, there hasn't been a huge amount of people, but we have had some good comments in there as always, and some good people chatting. So, guys, thank you very much. If you're new round here, welcome. It's great to see you. At the time of this broadcast, we were 4 away from 1,700 subscribers. So please do subscribe. Please don't put in crap comments because they're just going to be removed as they are now, mate. And Andy, thank you very much for timing him out, because he shouldn't be putting stuff like that, because this channel isn't for shout outs. I don't know how many more times I have to say this. I know it's always different people, but this isn't a channel to get people's names up on there. There are other channels that you can do that. This is about conversation. This is about adult conversation. Not just talking about porn, of course, or dirty talk, but you know, this is about adults having a conversation with everybody, and just yeah. So James' comment before we wrap this up said it would be quite good if we arrange a fundraiser, booze up with the people on this chat when we get back to the grounds, etc. Yeah, and guys, as you can see from the ticker running along the screen below there, if you've got any spare cash, by all means, please do support Iron supporting food banks. It's perfectly timed part of that conversation, you know, because this isn't going to go away. Food banks are never going to go away. We're only going to see more and more. Jordan, what time are you starting next week? 7 p.m. every single evening UK time, Jordan, as always. And Scott, welcome. But as I say, you've just joined us at the end of the stream, unfortunately, mate. So in the meantime, guys, if you're new around here, as I said, please do subscribe to the channel. If you like it, this video has already had 7 likes already, but by all means, please do click more, give us more likes if you like it. And please share this content. For those that watch the replay, stick your comments down in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts on these things. But in the meantime, guys, take care of yourselves, and I will see you at some point very soon. If something really important comes up, then we'll obviously do another live conversation. Might do something over the weekend. We'll keep them posted on that. Because when this channel originally started out, before being JP WHU TV, I did do twice weekly thoughts. So James, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, and yep, stay safe everybody. But as I say, I'll try and do something in the next few days just to keep momentum ticking over and everything. But other than that, guys, obviously the preview for the Sheffield United game will be going up next Friday. So not this Friday, the Friday afterwards, because obviously it's a Sunday kickoff. And of course we'll be doing the live watch along for that game next Sunday as well. So in the meantime, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you very soon. All the best now.